All right. Well, happy, beautiful, amazing evening. Bob Rakowski here out of Houston, Texas, with this week's edition of the Accelerator $1 Million Mentoring. I've got to tell you, I've listened to Darryl Drake before. He's got a absolutely phenomenal story. I mean, this guy's got vision and really a knack for making money. I don't know exactly how old he is, but well, I guess we can extrapolate from here. So at age 27 in 2015 with TLC, basically over $70,000 a month was what he was making. Now, I'm going to pass ahead a little more, and I'm going to come back to what I wrote in the margin, but he grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood. And he says, you know, it's true that inspiration or desperation often move us. So at 17 years old, someone was shot and killed basically right in front of him. And he said, you know what? It could have been him. And he came to realize, okay, I need mentors. I need wisdom. I need knowledge. He didn't just read How to Win Friends and Influence People. He applied it. He just didn't watch The Secret. He applied it. But he said he really wasn't ready for that early success. And what happens when you have a success that you're not ready for? You often squander it. So notice, I pulled this out from the article from Business for Home. Darryl went through a tough time in his life and took a break from TLC in 2018, even though he was making a good fortune in 2015, to deal with personal hardships. He emphasized his struggle as something that affects many people, and it should be discussed more. And here's what he said. Now, 2020, guess what? TLC, he's in it again, and now making big money in that company. He says, nobody teaches you how to deal with all that stuff, like the stress. So I fell into a depression and developed an addiction to opioids. I must share that. It's part of my story. I know I'm not the only one. I stayed like that for some time. And when I decided to take my life back, I used CBD to get off of opioids. CBD was his path for freedom. So there's definitely some good benefits to CBD. So here we are from a rough neighborhood. Someone gets killed in front of you. You start studying good stuff. You have fast success. You're not yet ready for it. You haven't grown into your success. So guess what? It went away. And then now, fast forward, he started his own network marketing company. And you know what? This was a really good article. Anybody can find it. Darryl Drake of creditreversing.com. 5 things I wish someone told me before I began leading my company. It's his company. He started it, network marketing. By the way, his lifetime earnings. And so if he was 27 in 2015, I guess he's 34 years old, and he's already earned $10 million. Pretty amazing. And in his current company, you know, 16 six-figure legs. So that is absolutely impressive. And he gave you the story, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and The Secret. Master what's between your ears. That's what Bob Proctor talked about. And the world is yours. 10 million by age 34. God bless him. So what's his DMO? Well, gratitude, then centering himself, and then conscious creating. So why gratitude? Gratitude opens the floodgates into abundance. And Deepak Chopra said this, genuine gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to invite more goodness into your life. And then how do you center yourself? You just get integrated within yourself. You get integrity. And then you figure out what you want, and you consciously create it every day, every day, every day. Every day is what you're going to do. So the first thing he said is you want to actually hack your environment. Take advantage of sight, sound, smell, touch, taste. I don't know why he didn't have taste in there, because, you know, I've often said I can taste the success I'm going for. And I can. And you know what? Then it's just around the corner. When you can taste it, it's just around the corner. But quite simply, create an environment around you of success. And I was watching a TED Talk the other week, and it said, in the long run, environment will trump willpower. He says, look, I don't care how hard you try to stay warm. I don't care what you invest in terms of the best clothes. If you're living in a freezer, you're ultimately going to get cold. So that goes back to hacking that environment. Create the environment that feeds your creativity, your passion, your abilities to serve and succeed. Now I'm going to take a little tangent. This wasn't part of Darryl's training, but you know what? Some people say, I don't feel like it. Well, actually, you know what the pros would say? Too bad. What does feeling like it have to do with anything? Simon Sinek, phenomenally popular TED Talk, Start with Why. You've got to figure out what your golden circle is. What's your why? And here is what my mentors teach. Identity is what you create. Claim your identity. I am a phenomenal networker. I am a 7-figure annual earner. Or if that's not comfortable saying that, I'm striving to be the best networker I can be. I get better every day, and every day I get closer to those 7 figures. Create that identity and let your identity drive your actions. And then guess what? When you own it, like Muhammad Ali did, and your actions back it up, that's got to be feeling really good to say, I am the greatest of all time. And that, by the way, was what Sports Illustrated said. He was the greatest athlete of all time. And so claim those great I ams. And notice what Ali said. He said, I am the greatest, even before he knew that he was. He spoke it into existence. Some of you may have heard of the Pygmalion effect. We can speak greatness onto others. Why not speak it onto ourselves? Little Bob Proctor wisdom, he talked about how there's this strange thing where people overestimate the abilities of others and underestimate their own abilities. We're all connected to infinite, so we can step up our game. And another Ali quote, the fight is won or lost far away from the witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road, long before I dance under the lights. So you've got to know that he put in thousands, many thousands of hours of diligent effort before he got into the ring. His second point is don't ask for discounts. So think of the universe as a great vending machine. He says, if it's $1 for whatever snack or drink you want, well, if you pay 95 cents, you get nothing. If you pay 99.9, if you could round it up like that, you get nothing. When you pay full price, then you get what you paid for. So he's a big fan of mentors. He gave Eric Worre a big shout out. Find someone who you love their example. And then quite simply, he says, obsess over it and copy the system. So what did Eric do? He said, you know what? I can learn these skills. He defined them, the 7 skills. And every day was plan, do, review, plan, do, review, plan, do, review. And guess what? Add your personal touch. So you're not going to be Eric Worre. You're not going to be Darryl, but you're going to be your best you. And guess what? Your best you, a month from now, you should barely remember what your best was, because it should be that much better. We can compound all life areas every single day. Now, this was a piece of history that I found beyond amazing. Madam C.J. Walker, she may have actually been the one that created network marketing. So notice what it says. She revolutionized direct sales by training other women to become beauty consultants who sold the Walker system, a method of grooming designed to promote hair growth and a condition of the scalp. At the height of her career between 1911 and 1919, Madam C.J. Walker employed several thousand women in the United States and had trained nearly 20,000. So think about that. How old is network marketing? Well, maybe it's 111 years old. Think about that. So it did actually precede Amway, and Amway's given the nod on that for having started it in the 1960s. So interesting, right? And then ultimately, he talked about the 4 Ps, the personalities, the 4 personalities. We'll review those, the products. I'm actually not going to review those on that. You better know the products. If not, get in the group, start looking at it, review it. You can get passionate about one product, and think about Emily Morrow promoting King of Coffee on Instagram almost exclusively and building a diamond ship in 2 years. And she's still crushing it and still growing and still thriving. What's our process? Well, easy enough. We share products, share the opportunity, teach others to do the same. Then we need to know how to get paid. So, supposedly there are copyrights on some of the coloring systems. So, think about the eagles being the reds, the peacocks being the blues, the owls being the greens, the logical, and the doves being the yellows. But ultimately, I learned this from a book that I'll show you in a moment, but when someone says, I like you, what they're saying is, I am like you. Because guess what? We like people that we resonate with. And wouldn't it be nice to raise the bar for everybody, and together everyone achieves more? But this was a classic book, Nicholas Boothman, How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less. By the way, they put it to the test. They had a television station, put them in the streets in New York, and then they pick out random people. He'd go talk to them for 90 seconds and he'd walk away, and the crew would come up and say, hey, did you like that guy? And they said, you know what, I did. And 10 for 10 in New York even. So, and then he even trained the producer of the show to be liked in 90 seconds or less. So here was my memory aid, open eye beam high lean. You have an open posture, you make eye to eye contact. And he says, eye contact is eye contact. You beam them a smile. And what do I say? Happy, beautiful day. And you lean in because you're interested. Then you ask authentic questions. It could be just this simple. Are you from around here? What do you like most? And just start the conversation. Now, Richard Bliss does not like a script. When they say, no, I'm actually not from around here, I'm from such and such a place, if they start giving a dissertation on it, wow, you know a lot about it, you must really love it. Yeah, I do. Well, if I were to visit, what would be several of the things that you would say would be must-dos for me? Things like that. Ask those authentic questions, and look, deep listening, deep listening. That means you're not talking, you're listening. You might be saying, wow, tell me more, but you're listening, and listening to connect with them, not to sell a product or service, not to prospect. And then what's the story? You remind me of a friend of mine from Canada named Claudio. He meets friends everywhere he goes. He's like undercover networker. It doesn't matter. You drop him off in any town, no contacts, no nothing. He's making friends. So tell a story that matches to them. So if you're a red or the eagle, well, you know what? You want advantage. So we have a patented competitive advantage. We're the Apple of the coffee industry, and we have 7+ figure opportunities. How about the blue? The people that like fun. Coffee's a new way to make friends, proven to enhance your energy to have more fun. And then guess what? Tax deductible travels and vacations. How about the yellows? Help people to look better, feel better, live longer. You can help a lot of struggling families, and we're eco-friendly and sustainable. And how about the logic? Thousands of medical studies. I made this slide a few years ago. So 13+ years of global success, no known toxicity or drug interaction, 8 ways of getting paid. Now you're sharing the right story with the right person. But after you figure out, based on their questions and their answers and your interactions, you want to match the story to the prospect. You want to speak their language. Or as he said, you're not going to sell your cat dog food. Just that simple. You want to sell them their own food. And he made up this point: people buy you. So ultimately, if you are going to be successful, you've got to raise your game. You've got to become better, stronger, faster, smarter, more loving, more serving. Remember the word deserve, D from service. The more you serve, ultimately, the more you will earn. Then I liked a Harvey Mackay quote that reminded me of what he said. He didn't say this is Harvey Mackay, but something similar. He said, sales is not rocket science. Sales is people science. When you connect with people, find out their needs, show them that you have a solution, then you've got an absolutely great opportunity to bring its value to the person. So he loved The Secret. He applied The Secret, and he credits The Secret with much of his $10 million fortune. So if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have, maybe watch it again, because there's a lot of power to that movie. And basically, here it is. You've got to get your mind right. Bob Proctor talked about the higher mental faculties, the will, which I call the perseverance, the intuition, the imagination, the memory, the focus, what's the P? Oh boy, I'm stuck with that. The R is the reason. Oh, perspective is the P, perspective. So look at it from a different angle if you're not figuring it out. And then he was, of course, I think this was on Larry King. You know, is The Secret for real? Well, Bob Proctor would tell you it absolutely is. It's just not easy to master, but once you master it, the world is yours. You might check him out on YouTube, phenomenal explanations of the law of attraction. I did this summary of Bob's How to Make a Million Look Small. He was absolutely amazing as he taught about that. And I miss him. You know, he was a phenomenal mentor. And I like this definition of feeling. Feeling is your conscious awareness of the vibration you're in. Everything vibrates, at least on the subatomic level, always. It's always moving. And notice specifically what Bob said. Practice being aware of how you're feeling in any given moment. If you're feeling bad, recognize it's because you're having negative thoughts. Then quickly change what you're thinking about so your vibration changes. Expressing gratitude instantly shifts your feelings. So I'll tell you what, one of my mentors said, you know, if somehow you ever have a bad interaction with somebody, make a list of the positive aspects about them. Nobody's all good or all bad. Everybody's got a blend. When you focus on the good in people, well, then you start to see more good in everybody and attract more good to you. And then how about this idea of your environment and especially the people you hang around with? And Darryl's big on that. Here's a proverb: become wise by walking with the wise, hang out with fools and watch your life fall to pieces. So hang out with 5 wise men, you'll likely be the 6th. Hang out with 5 fools, you'll likely be the 6th. Jim Rohn said it, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this was from Eric Worre's training. Frequently audit this and edit it. Who are the 5 you spend the most time with? So keep in mind, when Eric didn't have a good crowd, he spent time with Les Brown. He spent time with Brian Tracy. He spent time with Jim Rohn. He spent time with, I think, Zig Ziglar. And 3 of those 4, I think, 5 years later, he was driving them all to the same event. So who are the 5 you spend the most time with? How do they influence me? Is that okay? If you have someone influencing you in the wrong way, love them from more of a distance is what I would suggest. And keep in mind, we can't change the people around us, but you can change the people you choose to be around. I've always escaped, and maybe that's the term, into audio books. I love filling my brain essentially all day long with really good wisdom. And Eric told his story when he said, look, I'm starting a business, all of his friends laughed at him. He thinks he's an entrepreneur now. And then his 30 years later of getting a little better every day, he certainly is a phenomenal example. And now he's teaching us what to do with our wealth. And already this year, I've made more investment money than almost every other year of my life. And we're just through February. So you start running in that circle, they have absolutely phenomenal investments. You want to minimize relationship kryptonite. And so the rule is within about every 6 months, someone's life is going to change. If someone moves on, wish them well, but choose wisely. And one good friend really can change your entire life. So a little longer today, what are the key performance indicators? Earn $1 fast, a constantly growing number of VIPs every month, and team attendance. And so ultimately, how do we get people to grow? Well, fast and with leverage is the game plan. So when I did this training, I talked about understanding the compensation plan. You need a basic understanding, but here's what I'll tell you. if you sponsor someone on your right and on your left, and you order $200 and they order $200 each, you open up all of the entire compensation plan. So even at Crown Ambassador, that's all you need to order is $200 a month. Now, there's a lot of benefits to being a star achiever, and I'd recommend that. And we have a ton of frontline star achievers as well. But understand the basics of the compensation plan and the minimum to maximize it. One person on the right, one person on the left, order at least 100, and then someone on the right or left orders 50, and now you open up the compensation plan, and then I say 200, 200, 200. Why not get into that habit? That opens up the entire compensation plan. What's a VIP? Well, they have to have someone sponsored on the right, someone sponsored on the left, and then they need to have at least 2,500 group qualifying volume. And 50% can't come more than that from a single leg. So they max out at 1,250 on one leg. It's very important to know how to change the dual team position. So when you go into your OG office, My Business, click on that down arrow by your name. It'll drop down with your account, and then scroll down, and then you'll see the future dual team position. Now, maybe most of us already know how to do that, but what we were taught was that what we wanted to do was alternate right and left for the first 40 people that we signed up, and that's what we did. Keep in mind that we're now over 23,600. So I had done that training before, and now the numbers have grown from there. And what about the compensation plan? Well, the 8 ways of getting paid. Here's what Richard Bliss says. About every good company, if you have a good team, you'll earn 7%. I can tell you in our entire 10 years with Organo, we had our 10-year anniversary, February 27th, we're 8%, over 8% of all that we've done. So even at big numbers, you can get a higher percentage than that. The 2020 plan, put 20 on your left, 20 on your right, and that's within the first 6 months. And that was described as the path to diamond. Now, Eric's so good at these statistics. So 70% of people that go enter anywhere in network marketing recruit exactly 0. So we call them customers and we love them. 20% will sponsor 1 to 2, 5% 3 to 5, 3% 6 to 9, 2% 10 plus. So from our 40 example, 28 won't recruit anybody, 8 will recruit 1 to 2, 2 will recruit 3 to 5, 1 6 to 9, and 1 10 plus. And so what I decided to do was say, okay, where are these 40? So the 28 that are customers, they account for about $1,000 in volume a month. Is that reasonable? That's less than $40 a person, less than 2 cups of coffee per person. I believe that it is. And then, so now, what about the people that recruit 1 to 2? Well, $400 a month on one side, $300 on the other. And then 6 to 9, well, maybe that person's a star achiever. And then the person that orders 10 plus, I'll show you how we make that happen. After 1 year, not at 6 months, but at a year, you've got a platinum, you got a ruby, you got a sapphire, you got a platinum elite, and you have a star achiever. Well, how does that money work out? Well, $71,200 a year, or right at about $6,000 a month. So is that worth doing? Well, I promise you it is. And I'll tell you, that kind of looks a lot like our first year when we were building. We started growing and building and making that kind of money. And certainly you want to do all of the events that you possibly can. So last thing he talked about was the law of big momentum. Momentum's hard to stop. So you want to get momentum, you want to keep momentum, and ultimately that is going to create a great team. And we have Unite coming up. So, you know, it's been said that I like this metaphor better than pushing a car up a hill. When it's going downhill, it gains speed, it doesn't gain mass, but the snowball, it gets harder and harder as you approach the top of the hill. But then suddenly, when it gets that momentum, it just keeps going and going and going. So Unite, April 9th. I'm going to recommend that you get big meeting rooms for as many as you can. And with that said, I think I'm going to stop the recording, or maybe I'll keep recording. I'll put it all in YouTube and and maybe even OG family. So any questions from anybody about anything? All right, well then I'm going to give you an assignment. Everybody watch The Secret. Watch it. And then I want you to message me back directly with your top takeaway and how you're going to grow into your dream, how we're all going to grow into our dreams. We all have to grow. And remember, if we're not growing, we're dying. It's literally that simple. Watch The Secret and then share. The hardest, it's said that the longest journey a man will ever make is the distance from their head to their heart. And you combine those, you're going to be okay. You don't, you're probably not. So we've got a phenomenal company, phenomenal products, phenomenal opportunity. The world absolutely needs us. Should be a boom for us, especially with our great leadership. So with that said, I will stop.